There's some stories a man carries for a long time before he's brave enough to tell them. This chapter, called The Living Years, is one of mine. It's about relationships with family and friends, relationships between father and sons, and the words we said too late, and the ones we never found the courage to say at all. It's about the distance that grows between generations and how we spend half our lives trying to cross it. If you've ever wished um, you had just one more conversation, or maybe one more morning, or one more chance to make things right, then this chapter might feel a little familiar to you. It's not about regret as much as it's about understanding. Um, how time softens a man, and how the echoes of those we loved show up in our own voice and in our own children, and in the quiet moments we never, never really speak of. So settle in and let's take a breath and let's walk this together, through the years we've lived and the ones we've missed. It's called The Living Years. It's in my newest chapter from my newest book coming out called Echoes of the Delta. I hope you enjoyed. He never said much, his father. The words he did have come out measured, like a man counting nails before he built a fence. Most things were said through work, the swing of a hammer, the quiet after supper, the nod of the porch when the sun dropped behind the pines. There wasn't much talk of love or regret or dreams that didn't get finished. Those were things men in the Delta kept folded up inside like old letters never mailed. He remembered being young, standing in the shadow of that man. Strong hands, tired eyes, the smell of sweat and true grit. He thought his father was too hard, too stubborn, too bound to the past. He wanted to do things different, faster, freer. Every son does. But years pass and the road winds back on itself. Somewhere along the way, he found himself repeating the same sayings and doing the same things the same way. He carried the same quiet pride and sometimes the same quiet distance. There were things he wanted to tell him, how he understood now, how he was sorry for not listening, for thinking he knew better. But the time slipped by. You think there'll be another season, another Sunday drive, another porch light still burning when you pull in. Then one morning the call comes and the light's gone out. You're left with memories that talk louder than you ever did. He found some of those old papers once, bills and notes, a few prayers written in his father's rough hand. The words were simple, but they said what he never could. Lord, watch over the boy. That was enough. That was love in the language of his kind. Years later, holding his own son for the first time, he felt something shift, like the wind carrying an old song through an open window. It was his father's spirit, not gone, just changed form. It lived in the way he held his child close, in the way he whispered words his father never did. He found himself forgiving the man, and maybe forgiving himself too. Now, when he drives through the back roads of home, he sees his father everywhere. The worn fence post, the rusted plow still standing in the field, the small church with its peeling paint. He rolls down the window and lets the air hit his face, and it feels like they're talking at last. Not in words, but in understanding. And he thinks maybe that's how it's supposed to be. that what we can't say in the living years finds its way through in the quiet after. Through the sound of a child's laughter, through the whispers of wind in the trees, through the hearts of sons who finally see their fathers for who they were, imperfect, human, and trying, just like them. Because the truth is, every man carries his father like a song. Sometimes you don't know all the words until you're older, and by then you realize it's not the silence that hurts the most. It's the things you never said in the living years. There was a gravel road that led to his father's house, the kind that stayed muddy after a hard rain and dusted the truck in white powder when it was dry. The mailbox still leaned a little to the left, just like it always had. The same oak tree cast a shadow across the porch by noon. He'd driven that road 100 times growing up, mostly with the windows down and the radio tuned to some old country station his father liked. Haggard, Jones, maybe a little Cash on a good day. But this drive felt different. The old songs didn't sound the same. His father had been gone 3 years by then. The house sat empty except for a few boxes, a coffee can of loose change, and a Bible worn smooth by the hands that knew how to work but never quite learned how to rest. He parked in the same ruts his father's truck once made and sat there for a long time before going in. The smell of dust and pine lingered inside, mixed with something faint and familiar. Chap's cologne, maybe. On the kitchen table there was an old transistor radio, its dial frozen halfway between stations. He remembered it playing on summer afternoons when his father would come in from the fields, wiping sweat from his forehead with a red rag, the screen door slamming behind him. Supper would be on the stove, fried potatoes, a mess of greens, cornbread in the skillet. They'd eat mostly in silence, the only words coming when necessary. That was the way of men back then. He walked through the house, his boots echoing on the wooden floor. In the back room, he found a work shirt still hanging on the nail by the window, frayed at the cuffs and stiff with time. He took it down and held it, feeling the weight of all things they never said to each other. 1,000 memories lost between pride and silence. Outside, he sat on the porch steps and twisted off a cold one. The sun has started to show off, turning the delta sky into a deep orange wash that felt almost holy. He remembered the nights when he and his father would sit right there listening to frogs start up on the ditches and the far-off hum of tractors finishing late. His father never talked about dreams or regrets. He talked about weather, crops, the neighbor's new fence, but looking back, he realized those were his father's way of saying he cared. Men like him didn't waste words. They built them into things that lasted. He'd missed the funeral. Work, distance, excuses. None of them really mattered now. He carried that guilt like a rock in his chest, heavier each year. He wished he had told him he understood, that he forgave him, and that he was sorry. But that time had gone, and time once gone doesn't circle back. Now, when you look out at the fields, he could almost see him there, bent over, slow-moving, steady, like the land itself had shaped him. He wondered if heaven looked anything like the Delta in early spring, when the fields turned green again and hope felt possible. He drove back into town before dark and stopped by the old cafe where his father used to drink coffee with the farmers. Same old neon sign, same counter, same waitress who now moved a little bit slower but still managed to smile like she used to. He sat in his father's old spot and ordered coffee, black. It came thick and bitter, just the way he remembered. As he stirred the cup, he thought about his own son, grown now, busy, living somewhere far away. They talked, but not often. He wondered if his boy understood him any better than he understood his own father. Maybe one day he would. Maybe every man has to walk the same long road of pride and silence and slow forgiveness. When he left the cafe, he stood in the parking lot and looked up at the night sky. There were no words, just the quiet hum of crickets and the faraway sound of a freight train. He felt something in that moment, a peace, maybe, or just the sense that his father wasn't gone at all, only waiting somewhere down the line. He climbed back into his old truck and turned on the radio, and the songs came back soft and familiar. And this time, they didn't hurt the way they used to. He rolled the window down and let the wind blow through, and carrying that faint whisper of understanding that only comes too late in the living years. I hope you enjoyed that. It's a little long, but it's one of my favorites. If you liked it, head over to my YouTube channel, maybe subscribe and share it, and maybe leave a comment or something. I'd appreciate it, and maybe you can help me grow that channel and reach some people with my stories. Thanks a lot, and y'all have a blessed day. God bless.